Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And I am going to do my mock draft 2.0 in this video. Now, I will always give you guys the preface to say I am not a draft expert. I just do these things because, number one, I have fun doing those. And two, I just kind of learn a little bit even more about draft prospects and what teams' needs really are. So I kind of draft for needs more than anything. But either way it goes, we're going to get into this mock draft. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Alright guys, I'm going to use the PFF mock draft simulator, and we're gonna select every team. Of course, we're only doing the first round. Let's get into it. And the Titans, I think this is about the easiest pick that we're gonna have to think of this. And this one, the Tennessee Titans, let's start this. They are gonna go Cam Ward. Now, from what I'm getting inkling of, the Browns, I don't think they're gonna take Shedeur Sanders. I think they're going to kind of ride out their quarterback on Flacco, or they're probably going to draft one and move up to the first or later in the second round to draft the quarterback. I think here they go with Dual Carter. The Giants, I think they're leaning towards Travis Hunter here, and I'm going to go with them picking Travis Hunter. Now, we know Shedeur's not going to go here. The Patriots don't need a quarterback. The Patriots can go a ton of ways. They can go somewhere to fix this offensive line. They can trade back. And they can select Tyler Warren here. And this is a pick that is going to, I think this is the pick of the draft, at least in this scenario, that's going to really kick things off. They can use a running back, but I don't think Jeanty goes as high. They're a possibility to use. They can use some wide receiver help, but I don't think McMillan is worth drafting this high, in my opinion. So there's a ton of ways that this team can go. But at this point, I think you're going to do Bear Shocker. They're going to draft Jeanty to help pair with Drake May. Now, the Jaguars are an interesting team here. They can use some tight end help. They just got rid of Evan Ingram. They can use some defensive line help. And at this point, I think they are going to go in the route of selecting Malachi Starks to help their defense. I know this is kind of going a little high for them, but I think they're going to go defensive route. The Raiders are at a point where they can select a few places here, and they can go corner, which I think this is the biggest hurt of their team besides wide receiver. And I think they're going to have a guy possibly like a Baron go off the board. The Jets could draft a wide receiver, which I don't think they will. They could draft offensive linemen. And this, I think they draft offensive linemen. And this is where Will Campbell goes off of the board. This is where we're going to get our second edge rush off the board. And I think a guy like a Mike Green, whose draft stock has been rising, will go to the Carolina Panthers. The New Orleans Saints, this is where I think Shedeur gets off the board. With Derek Carr's injury threatening to make him miss the season, and I think this team is in a rebuild, I think they get the quarterback of their future, and they go Shedeur Sanders. Now, my Bears, we don't need a quarterback. Thank God for that. We don't need a wide receiver. We can use a running back, but I've always told people running back is a position that is a depth in this draft, and you can get one later. So I think the Bears are going to lean towards a Mason Graham or a Tyler Warren to pair with Cole Kmet. And I think with the way that the Bears have been building this football team, I could possibly see them going to Tyler Warren here, and that's who I think they will probably pick. Now, the San Francisco 49ers, they are a team that has a lot of holes, especially defensive side of the ball, mainly because of the guys that they lost. But they have an offensive side of the ball. They have some holes. I think you go Membu, tackle out of Missouri. Cowboys, they can go running back here. They need a wide receiver. I think this is where McMillan, the first wide receiver, gets off the board. They need someone to pair with CeeDee Lamb, and I think McMillan is a good person to pick for that interior. Now, the Dolphins need some help on the interior of both sides of their line. They need some cornerback help. Jalen Ramsey is getting a little older. They lost some players, but I think they go interior depth. They get a guy like a Mason Graham out of Michigan. Now, the Colts, they can go a variety of routes. Tight end, I don't think you get one outside of Warren that's really that good. They can go linebacker here, but I don't see a linebacker that's high enough to take for them. And I think you get Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College to help with their wide receiver. Help with the defensive pressure. Now the Falcons, they can go edge rusher here, which I think they should have went last year. But now I have Phoenix that ended up working out. I think that works for them. And they can go linebacker here. They can go the interior of the defensive line. With losing Grady Jarrett this offseason, I don't think Luther Burton is going to be the one to take off the board, even though he has higher rates for me. And I think they're going to go with tackle. They could go with tackle, but I think they're going to go with an edge rusher, James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, to help with their pass rush. The Arizona Cardinals, they need defensive line help. They need some corner help. I think you get another wide receiver weapon in there. But I think this is the first where the first corner gets off the board. Will Johnson goes to the Arizona Cardinals. Today's video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. For me, it is very important to have a VPN to protect my online privacy. It'd be very, very creepy if there was someone out there who kept a log of every single thing that you did online. So why let your internet provider really do that to you online? The best thing to do is to get yourself a VPN, and why not go with the ExpressVPN, the best VPN available. Personally, I like it for the fact that you can unlock Netflix shows that you do not get in the US market. Now, one show that I've started to get myself into is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You search Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the US, doesn't come up, but you can switch your location to Canada, and you can research Brooklyn Nine-Nine again, and bam, it pops up right then and there, and you can catch up on your episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now, if you click the link in the description below, you will get 3 free months of ExpressVPN. Just by clicking the link below and you sign up today, you will get 3 months free of ExpressVPN. All you have to do is click the link down below, and you will get ExpressVPN. Now, let's just get back to the video. Now, they need offensive line help in the interior, and needs defensive line help. And I think this is where Walter Nolan goes. He gets the interior of that defense, which the Bengals defense they really need help. So I think they go there. Now, the defensive line for the Seahawks has been a bit of a question. They can go interior here. They can go edge rusher here. I personally think they can go linebacker here, but I don't think so. They can go the interior of their defense. They can go somebody at their wide receiver position. But this is where Kenneth Grant gets off the board, and he goes to the Michigan man goes to Seattle. Now, they can use some linebacker help, and I think this is where the first linebacker gets off the board. They can use some corner help, but I'm going to have them taking Campbell out of Alabama. Now, this is an interesting point. I think Amarion Hampton fits perfect with what the Broncos need, because they lost Devontae Williams and they need a running game to pair with both ends. They can use some wide receiver help, i.e. Emeka Egbuka, but I think they're going to go running back here and they go Amarion Hampton. Now, this pick is based on the premise that they've already signed Aaron Rodgers up to this point. I'm basing it off of this. They could go quarterback. They can go Jaxson Dart. And I still think they can go at Jaxson Dart. I still think they can go Jalen Monroe, but I think they will probably wait to do that. Me personally speaking, I think they wait to get their quarterback, and they get Josh Simmons out of The Ohio State University to help with their offensive line. Now, the Chargers are in a position where they need some wide receiver help, and they need some defensive line help. Another back guy comes off the board, and you get Emeka Egbuka to pair with Justin Herbert. Packers, they could use a wide receiver, which I think they might go because of the injury to Christian Watson. I think you need some more wide receiver help, and you get a Matthew Golden. Now, the Vikings, on the other hand, They use some corner help. That defense is starting to get a little bit older. They can use some help on the interior of the defensive line, and they get Amari Norman a lot. Now, I always tell you guys, I'm not that big of a draft expert, so take my picks with a grain of damn salt. But the Texans, I think this is where Luther Burden goes off the board right now because they need to get some wide receiver help for CJ Stroud. They need offensive line help as well, but I think they get the wide receiver to get paired with CJ. Now, with the Rams on the clock, they can use the tight end. They can use some offensive line help to help protect Stafford. They can use some linebacker help to help on their young defense and keep their defense young. And I think they're going to go Jalen Walker out of Georgia to go to the Rams. Now, they can use some interior presence help. They can use some DB help. And I think this team is going to go Nick Scorton or Shamar Stewart. I think Shamar Stewart drops, and the Ravens get Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. Now, the Lions, on the other hand, I think they can use some edge rushing help. I think they can use some linebacker help. Me, personally, I think they can use a little bit of help on the interior of their offensive line. And linebacker help, they need to get younger at that position. But I think this is the team where they may take the best player available for what they have. And I think they go a guy, maybe like a Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M. Both are both back-to-back Texas A&M players. Now, Washington, I think they can use some help. But I think Cosby is the guy that's out for the year on that offensive line. And guard is not really a big position in this draft. Running back, you could take that later. I've always said that. So with the pick that they are going to have here, Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. Now the Bills can use some edge rush help. They can use some linebacker help. They use some DB help. And this is where I will say they would go with a guy like a Benjamin Morrison. Now they can use some offensive line help. Kelvin Banks is going to go to the Chiefs. They need some O-line help in a worse way. Joe Tooney was lost. And the Eagles, they can use some wide receiver help maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't think they should. Edge rusher, they are getting a little bit older there. I can see them going that route. I can see them going in the interior of the defensive line. And I can see them going somewhere in their defensive. And I think Michael Williams is the guy here. Now, like I said, I'm not a big of a draft expert, so take mine with a grain of salt. I just like to have fun doing these things, but either way it goes, I will catch you guys later, and you guys have a great next day, and I'll catch you.